Hi guys, welcome to another Scott's Visual Log. This time we're looking at issue 53 from the official Starships collection, which is this one, the Klingon Augments Ship, which was featured in 2 episodes of Enterprise Season 4, Affliction and Divergence. So, as we can see, it's a pretty green ship, if nothing else. One of the things that I've seen from people who've been talking about it already is that they're quite taken by the fact that the colour you see on the ship is actually the colour that was really shown on the model in a lot of the preview pictures. It is incredibly green. It's probably the greenest Klingon ship that I've seen, and I think the tone of the paint is almost akin to the issue 5 Romulan Deridex Warbird. It's almost that kind of shade of green. It's perhaps a little bit brighter with almost a pearlescent sheen to it. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is let's have a look at her. So we're going to grab her off. As I said, she's only actually appeared in 2 episodes of Enterprise, but it's still quite a nice little ship. So the stand itself, as you can see there, is just the rear clip, just clipped straight over the rear engine pod here. Just pull this out of the way for a second. So, as you can see, pretty decent size. Nice thing with this one that I've noted straight away is that everything about her is actually metal. So the wings are metal, the whole central unit here is metal, all this piece here is metal. The only bits that you get in plastic is this cowl on the front towards the bridge section. So it's a crew of 6, so it's quite a small ship. The gun mounts here, these little bits of plastic, the 2 impulse engines, which are missing, as you'll be able to see probably from the magazine cover here. There is a sort of green glow piece on the side, and the ship itself actually is missing those here. They will be on this section, and that really is it on the side of it being plastic, and the undersection here is it's all metal. So I'm really impressed with the build quality of this one. But it's nice to kind of added those little bits on just to the extremities to complete the build. I'm actually looking at this in a slightly different light to when I've been reviewing it for the blog as well. The deflector on the front here actually does show up a lot brighter under different lighting, and it's showing it up now. As you can see, I've actually got a light on because it's showing off the section of the ship in the middle there, which I've actually noticed is again a translucent section piece of plastic in there, as are the 2 warp engines just at the back here. So if you can see those, just get them in the light. Those 2 sections there are actually both that sort of translucent red plastic. So as the same with the Centaur, which also came out this month, there were no translucent sections on that ship at all. It was purely painted from hull to stern, for the whole of the ship. We've got the great Klingon feathered wing pattern on here as well. There is some slight weathering, so I'm going to try and see if I can get this into a better angle. But if you can see, there is some weathering around the sides of this panel here, and in some of the joint lines. I think especially around this central piece just here. You'll see that there is almost a dirty effect that they've put into the paint job, which is nice. I would have expected a little bit more, because this does to me look a little bit too bright. In fact, what gets me is if you look at the cover of the magazine and you look at the ship, the shade of green is very, very different. Again, this might be accounted for the screen colouring that we saw versus the model colours that we saw, because we know that with the Jemadar fighter, for example, that the tones of the colours were actually toned down on the screen about 50% from what they were on the model itself. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this one. It is quite a simple and straightforward design. Only a ship we saw twice. If you notice another thing, there are no Klingon markings on this ship at all, because it was designed that you would not know which race of Star Trek aliens this ship was supposed to be from until there was a big reveal about halfway through the episode, because the Augments were the Klingons without the familiar sort of cranial ridges. And the whole point of it was we were going to find out that these guys who look like humans with long hair were Klingons in a scene in sickbay. So the ship itself is completely unmarked, which also makes it quite unusual within the collection. Although I don't think it takes anything away from it, because I think the detail they've got on here, even on the bottom, is really, really nice. Just turn it sideways so you can see that. It's really nice. They've got some really decent panel lines. It's even got sort of a docking ramp there, all the way through to the front here. So there is a lot of very detailed hull work that they've gone on to put into this one. So it's really come out nicely. Again, it is an Enterprise model, so it's not really a surprise, because you know with the Enterprise ones that they're all going to be done from those really, really detailed CGI models that Ben and the guys at Eagle Moss will be able to get straight off. What I was going to say was, the funny thing with this is that they designed it not to look Klingon. And so if you look at the magazine, which we'll look at in just a second, if you look at the magazine, they talk about the fact that they didn't want it to look Klingon. I think this looks really, really Klingon. In fact, it looks very, very Bird of Prey-ish. But what I also thought would be interesting is just to put it up against the ship that would have been around at a certain kind of era. So this is the Klingon Augments Ship. And this is the Somraw, which we saw a few issues ago. So as you can see from the two ships that we've got here, the design is very similar. So the wings have got a slight upsweep. You can still see the radiator vent in here. There's quite a distinctive section into the nose. And just the way the two ships actually are designed, you pretty much say that you're going to know that this one here is a Klingon ship, because we've already seen this one. Even the shape of this section at the back is just so reminiscent of the Klingon ships. So I was quite surprised to find out that you didn't want you to know which one it was when it looks blatantly like a Klingon vessel. But yeah, as I said, this is the Somraw, which is also from Enterprise. Just really for a bit of comparison of the two. So just bring that one out of the way for a second, just so I don't drop it. And we'll just bring the Klingon Augments Ship out of the way. So this is the magazine that we got with number 53, and as you can see, it's going through the usual kind of standard format layout. So you've got putting the ship on the stand, just the basics of the vessel itself, and then we're getting into a little bit more detail. So there is a really nice big photograph. What I've noticed with these later issues is that this picture that they're putting on the 4th and 5th pages is actually the same picture that you've got on the cover. Now it's changed, because there were a few issues where this wasn't the case, but now it seems more often than not that we're getting this picture twice, which kind of feels like a bit of a cop-out. Nice bit of text in here. The funny bit I get in here is there is a line that says the design architecture of the Augments vessel was unmistakably Klingon in appearance, which was hilarious, considering that effectively it was a Klingon ship that we were supposed to know. So yeah, nice bit of background on the vessel. Really does cover off the whole Klingon Augment story, which was also really a sequel to the triple episode arc featuring Arik Sung, Brent Spiner earlier in the 4th season. So yeah, some really nice photographs of the ship. A couple of episodic photographs from the two-parter as well. Again, really basic plan views. If we just bring the Somraw in. Sorry, the Somraw in the Augment ship in, you can see that shade of green is actually quite different. The shade of green that you've got in the plan views does look a lot more like the colour on the Bird of Prey from issue 3 and the Negvar than it does with this one. So it's quite a bright colour contrast. Nipping through again. There is just a nice little section on designing the ship and the troubles around making sure it didn't look Klingon, which I keep saying is quite boring if I keep saying it like that. But yeah, really, really good piece on how John Eves designed it. I love all reading out stuff about John Eves and what he's done, and the pictures that you get to see from his kind of thoughts of what these ships should look like. As you can see, it looked quite different at one point to what actually came at the end. Probably the best, most interesting thing in this magazine is this Klingon forehead solution, which I didn't kind of see coming, but is quite logical when you put it into the context of the episodes that this magazine is based around. Really nice piece talking about those differences that we saw in the original series through to the movies, from motion picture where they looked completely different, and Star Trek 3, as we've got a picture of Commander Krug here, and again the 3 Klingons that were in the original series that then appeared in Deep Space Nine. So there's a nice bit of a story about how that kind of evolved and why, what the story actually became, because we know in Deep Space Nine they kind of get that cop out of they don't talk about it to outsiders, which really annoyed a lot of fans. So that covers off about sort of 4 sections there, and then you've just got at the end just a couple of the appearances, which of course can only be Affliction and Divergence, which are the 2 episodes. Interesting, the trivia this time covers kind of guest stars. So we've got a piece covering James Avery, who was from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and also Seth MacFarlane, the Family Guy creator, who was in an episode of Enterprise. So yeah, an interesting little twist. The thing for me is that next month we're actually going to be looking at one of my favourite ships, which is the Steamrunner class. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that one. But as it goes, I've got to say, a pretty solid double entry this month. So we had the Centaur, which was a really class piece of kit, and now we've got the Klingon Augments Ship, which looks really nice. It's not one of my favourites. Is it a must-have? Not really. If you're a Klingon fan, you'll be going out and getting this one, I think. I think my other issue with it is that the stand is a little bit on the wobbly side. I know from a friend of mine that I've been talking to that he suggested putting a little bit of blue tack or just a little bit of blob of glue in the bottom of that just to kind of level it out, because mine does develop a slight lean occasionally if you just put it in the wrong place. But I'll stop fiddling with that because it's really annoying, especially if you're watching this. Just put it in a better angle so you can actually see it a bit better. So yeah, there we go. That's the Klingon Augment Ship for this month. So next month we have the Steamrunner class and the Dakir, I hope I pronounced that right, the Dakir Vulcan ship from Enterprise. So it's another Enterprise entry. As we know, they're pretty much going to be the best ones on the detail level. So I look forward to seeing what's going to happen there. As always, if you've liked this, if it's giving you ideas, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what your thoughts are, and hopefully I will talk to you soon.
Transfer complete.